Welcome to Dr. T's Greenthumb Diary and Conversations with Cannabis Growers. And we're here with my guest, medically fit. How you doing tonight? I think you're muted.
I am muted. There we go.
How you doing tonight?
I am doing well, thank you. Kind of glad to be here. Uh, Glad I kind of reached out and was chatting with you on one of your videos.
All right. Would you like to tell any of for some of the people that's here that don't actually know who you are? Would you like to give them a brief update of who you are and so on and so forth?
Yeah, so my name's Ian. I go by Medically Fit. I've been here on YouTube for like 12, 13 years now. Kind of started off like a video log, just kind of recording what I was doing, keeping video logs of it. Because back then, we were able to grow medically, but it wasn't quite legal yet in the state of Nevada where I started cultivating. And so I didn't want to write down everything. So if I ever got in trouble, I didn't have like logs of all these records of all these grows. And so video logs were a lot easier at the time for me to kind of do. And so that's kind of a little bit about like where I started.
Okay. The first one of my first questions would be like, how did you get started in the cannabis industry, and was there any specific event experience that made you decide into getting into or ultimately staying in the cannabis industry, both professionally and as a home grower?
So what started me cultivating was one of my roommates. He was growing already in Las Vegas. He had a couple houses going.
Okay.
He asked me, he had some people growing for him that kind of just moved out on him. And he's like, hey, I got all these plants and this equipment. Can you come help me get it out of here? And do you want some of them? And at that time, like my dad passed away. So I was already dealing with some shit emotionally. And so it kind of went hand in hand with it took me to deal with things like emotionally. I could be in a grow room and deal with everything. Kind of the plants would let me deal with what I'm dealing with emotionally, and they didn't really talk back. Like at the time, my wife, she didn't know how to deal with what I was dealing with. And so my outlet was growing cannabis and learning to grow it.
Okay, that's a great way to start it. Like, has a meaning. Cannabis has a meaning to you for you. Um, like I said, can you? I want to ask you. Can you share a brief overview of your journey to becoming this cannabis grower? Like, oh well, you just explained that. What inspired
No,
you to pursue this?
there's still quite a bit there. So when I started off in Nevada,
Hmm.
I was starting hydro. I
Okay.
was trying not really cocoa, but like soil using bottled nutrients. And the hardest thing for me was I didn't know how to measure anything. Nobody really explained, hey, 5 milliliters is like a tablespoon and like
Yeah.
this information. So back in the day, it was hard to find it. So that's where I started trying to transition into like aquaponics and trying to figure out how to do aquaponics because that was really interesting. And then I came along to Subcool and seen a lot of Sub's videos on soil, super soil.
Okay.
Excuse me. And so that was like, keep it simple, stupid. Like, what do you mean? I just mix up some nutrients, like dry organics in a soil and let it cook and just water. Oh, that's way easier for me to understand than, hey, I got to measure this, and I got to stir it and then keep checking my EC or pH. And like that shit was fucking like over my head at the time. And I didn't really have anybody to walk me through it or teach me, how to do it properly. So Subcool and Super Soil was so simple. That's kind of how I began that journey.
Okay. That's great. Hey, that's a great beginning to your story. How you got into it as you were getting into it. Um, you already explained to me what inspired you to pursue cannabis. Um, What are some of the key milestones in your cannabis growing career?
Oh, milestones. I can't say that there's milestones for me. There's different events and things that I've done and been to because of YouTube. Um,
Okay.
YouTube, I really got to know a lot of the community over those 13 years. So I went out to High Times Cannabis Cup in Las Vegas, SoCal High Times Cannabis Cup. I've been to many DGC Cups in Colorado. Um, so I've attended many different events, and I've got to really know a lot of people in the community, breeders, growers, other influencers, educators in the WeTube community. And so that to me was like a milestone of when I look back at like the group of people that were around. How do I want to say this? Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when GrowTube Roundtable was really around, that was a big deal. Watching like YouTube's changed in the 13 years I've been here. I watched different groups of people come and blow up and then fall off years later. Or they go over to Discord and everybody's on Discord instead of YouTube, or they went to different platforms because of all the censorship. So just watching how WeTube's changed over the years and people go to different platforms, that's kind of like a milestone to me. Like, holy cow, there's been a lot of changes in that 13 years.
Okay. Well, um, what are okay? So you said was there any milestones? So when you was on YouTube, since you've been on YouTube, how does it feel when you first got your first 1,000 till now you got up to like 23,000 subscribers?
Almost 23,000, bro. It's crazy because it just started off as like video logs, like we were talking, like just trying to record what I was doing and being in chats, going to different live streams and talking to people and engaging people. It got more people to follow me. And the videos I was making at the time was the same information I was watching or hearing through different lectures and reading different papers that I would then start to put out. Hit 1,000. It's like, oh my God, I hit 1,000 people. Like, wow, it took quite a while. And then it was like 3,500. Wow, I live in a town that it's half this population. Like, you try to sit, and then it hit 10,000. I'm like, dude, 10,000 subscribers. Like, that's bigger than the town I'm living in at the time. And then it just kind of grew and grew. And then when I hit 20K, it's like I had a large influencer that had like 100,000 subscribers. He's like, hey, imagine this. It's like the Las Vegas Knights hockey rink, the arena. That many people, 20,000 people in that arena are following you. What, dude? A whole arena full of people following me now? Like, it's crazy to me that I organically over the 13 years have gained 23,000 subscribers. But I keep putting out information, trying to help people cultivate, trying to help people understand plant physiology, the botany of the plant. So there's a lot that I've tried to kind of help out over the 13 years.
Okay. That's great though. Thinking about having 20,000, I can't even imagine me personally having 20,000 subscribers. I'm only at like 550. I've been doing it a while, but I wasn't constantly putting out content. Um, I've been watching, like again, I've been watching you. I know I've been seeing you over the years throughout the content, like me being in the cannabis community, and lately you have these what's the word I want to look for? You have
Like
these
series?
series. You have these series of videos, and I walked back. I went back like a year or two today. Like I went back and I was looking at how many different series you was having. Um, but your recent ones is about a recovery. Like I know everybody in YouTube world and in this community, they don't understand true recovery. But what to recovery to you? Won't you let me start there? What is recovery to you? You're muted. Yeah.
Sorry. If my plants are deficient in nutrients and you can see the deficiencies happen, I have to then do things, do different amendments or teas for the plant to recover to get healthy again. So it's
Mhm.
not having those deficiencies. If I'm training my plant, I'm topping, I'm femming, I'm super cropping, my plant takes time to recover from those processes. And it usually takes a couple weeks for them to really grow out of some of these problems. Um,
Mhm.
Recovery to me is if my pots are super dry and my plant's all wilted up because I forgot about it and I water it, it's going to take time to recover and get new growth back into it. So it looks healthy again. Recovery means my plants are now back to health, where I'm able to go into flower. I'm able to now start fighting off different pest and pathogens. Um, so that's what kind of recovery is to me when I talk about recovery.
Okay. Um, Another question about recovery. What was the worst plant you had to deal with to recover, and how long did it take for you to recover from that plant and that plant to recover?
Shit, probably those videos on YouTube, the shittiest plants on YouTube. I
Oh,
got
this.
those. I got those from one of my friends.
Okay.
He had literally neglected them. He was so busy doing like other activities than cultivating, focusing on family and not growing because the black market bottomed out. Like nobody could really make money anymore because of what Oklahoma's doing. So he's got away from it. Well, he had one of my cuts and his Mac one, the caps cut. And I was like, bro, let me take my cut back. I got into my house. Let me take your Mac one so I can keep life instead of you letting it die off. Okay, here you go. So I showed it on YouTube and explained, look, I got these for my friend. I'm trying to get these back to health because these are very neglected plants. And it took me just about a couple weeks to really get good, healthy recovery, getting all the dead stuff off after the new leaves were really growing in. Like 2 to 3 weeks at the most, really.
Okay. Okay. Um, that's great information because a lot of people, they, again, they all only thing they see on a normal basis is, "Hey, I'm recovering," and then they come at you at a certain time, a certain way, and not understanding that most of the stuff that you're doing is for a certain reason. Um, would you like to go into the reason why that you're showing people, or like I feel like sometimes you let your plant. I don't know what you're doing, but I feel like sometimes you might let a plant go just so you can show. Hey, you have this content to show somebody. Hey, this might have a magnesium deficiency. This is what underwatering looks like. This is what overwatering looks like, and so on and so forth.
And I do that. Like I'll neglect my plants in a sense that they start to look deficient. They look unhealthy. They need nutrients. Growing in soil, I am not bottle feeding every friggin' week like most of these people do. If I was, my plants would be healthy. I am showing people that are growing in soil how in a 1 gallon pot like the ones I'm doing now, dude, they're over 3 foot tall. They've been in there several months, but I'm now starting to run out of nutrients. You can see that they're not so healthy. Yes, I can transplant them, which is the plan this weekend. But if I can show growers that are, hey, why are my plants looking like this? Why are they acting like this? Hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Let me show you. Let me get my plants unhealthy and turn them around and get them healthy. Let me show you how to get your plants from unhealthy to healthy plants. Like if you really watch the videos in the series, you see me take the plants from being unhealthy to getting them healthy, getting recovery on them so I can go into flower. And really, my plants can look like shit. And veg, it don't matter. As long as they're healthy by the time I go into flower, that's all that matters.
Okay. Um, well, now you should explain that you sometimes you do it just like that for just to go ahead and have the content to show people. Um, I forgot what I was just about to ask. That's what happens when you smoke a lot of weed. Uh, could you describe your preferred cannabis cultivation methods and techniques?
So there's a couple that I enjoy. I really enjoy doing super soil because it's real simple for a lot of people. I go to the next step after that, and that's going into the regenerative part of things with my no-till beds.
Okay.
So there's a difference between the two. My no-till bed, I'm not trying to add any amendments. I may have to top dress once in a while after a harvest or two to get some nutrients back in, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to do cover crop. I'm trying to do some roll and crimp so I'm not killing the root zones and chop and drop like a lot of people
Yep.
talk about. My super soil, I just water and give amendment teas. They're two different methods. One is where I'm trying to let the biology do everything in the soil. The other is I'm trying to give the soil all the nutrients for the biology to already have to break down and allow the plant to uptake.
Okay. Um. So with the no-till, are you using like cover crop? Or are you doing not cover crop? Like companion plants, and what kind of companion plants are you using? If so.
So there's some different companion plants that I try to use. One of them is like yarrow. Some of it, um, I don't try to use a lot of marigolds. Some people enjoy them, but they do bring thrips. Thrips like marigolds, so I try not to put them in the bed. May put them around it to their pests. Um, Lemongrass is a good one just to help, but cover crops, I try to use a different blend. I try to use stuff like dandelion if I can get them growing in there. Um, I try to use other pollinators, stuff that will bring bees in and attract different pets, bugs,
That's cool.
like trying
Predator
to get
predator
the,
water.
yeah, trying to get the environment like Mother Nature does. And that's the whole
Okay.
point of trying to do regenerative is mimic Mother Nature. Where doing super soil, that's not the case.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any strains that you specialize in growing that you really like growing that you would say that this is something that I enjoy and this comes from me in my area?
So there's a lot that I've grown over the years and lost over the years that I really enjoyed. One of them was King Urkel, which was King Louis the 13th times Purple
Purple Urkel.
Urkel came out of California. My buddy at Redline Genetics, that was fire shit that we were running out of Redline years ago. And a lot of people on YouTube grew out these Redline Genetics because I did free seed giveaway, 40 packs at a time giveaways on my channel for years. And it was all Redline Genetics helping support my friend. Um, the one I have now that I really enjoy, there's two of them, My Primo Kush and the Mac one by Cap. That Mac one is it. I enjoy the high. I enjoy how it grows. It produces like most of the time I get 4 ounces or more off of one of those plants. And
Okay, because
that's,
I'm
you know,
and I'm running the Mac one myself right now. I have 8 of them. I'm going to be putting under a net actually tonight. So it's going to be great to see how those do in under a net. But you said that you like the Mac one. What about the Mac one? That's you say you like the high and everything. But what about the terpenes on that? How do you feel about the terpenes on that Mac one? Because I had a different experience with it.
so I had one of the followers I have on Instagram, Wax Terps. So he
Yep.
worked for a dispensary down in Trinidad, Colorado. And I've been down there many times shopping those dispensaries because I've got friends all over Colorado I'll go hang out with. And him and I met up when I was renting a house over on the south side of where I'm at. And they were already growing Mac 1 out. And so he wanted to try the no-till bed and how I grew it out. And he said, bro, yours tastes way creamier and has more flavor than what we're getting out of ours. I'm like, seriously? He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, there's a way difference. Yours honestly has a better taste to it than what ours does. Like it's a little creamier to me, which is interesting, because different road methods will actually bring out different profiles in a plant. And that's where I try to talk about like genetic expression. And a lot of people have a hard time understanding the expression of the plant, and changing different amendments, different nutrients will change the expression of the plant.
Okay. Talking about that, I wanted to go back because this was a question I want. That's the question I forgot. I was going to ask you about the companion plants. Um, do you in those companion plants that you're using for your soil? I mean, for your beds. Um, what are the what? certain plant. Which certain plants are what are you using certain plants for? I'm sorry, that's what I wanted to say. Those companion plants. So you named off a couple of them, and then like 'cause some people out there want to know the same thing for the
Uh,
composition of the soil.
Most of them are to help prevent certain pests. Some of them help unlock different nutrients or amendments in the soil, where other ones don't do it. Like Yarrow's a little different accumulator than what I'm trying to think of, like how it actually, what the benefits are at the moment. But just going into like several different companion plants, that's pretty much why I'm trying to use them. Is either they're releasing like dandelions different phosphorus or uptake of phosphorus, and then when they break it down, they're releasing phosphorus, through the biomass. Yarrow, nettle. There's a lot of different companion plants that just, it's more about the soil biology and what they're bringing to the biology. Um, and I'll explain this like, if I just grow cannabis in the soil only really uses certain fungi, bacteria, protozoa, and some of them, like some endo or ecto mycorrhizal, don't really work with some of the cannabis plants. But if I put in like different grasses or different nettles, like yarrow or dandelion, those themselves
Yeah,
bring in different biology to help unlock
yeah,
the potential of other nutrients in the soil. So then my cannabis plants has more access to these nutrients, since some of these biologies to cannabis. So that's kind of more why you look to use these companion plants, as well as like the nutrient benefits that some of them bring, or the pest preventative that some of them bring.
okay. Talking about pests and stuff like that. So we were talking about the strains, and okay, back to that. So now to talking about pests, what type of things do you? All right, how do you handle pests and disease management in your cannabis crops?
So there's a couple different ways. I do a lot of IPM, which indoors it's to prevent really getting anything.
Yep.
Um, People have a hard time understanding, if you have cats or dogs, they are one of the big main reasons how pests are brought into your house. They go outside, they run around through the yard, they pick them up, they come into your house, they make their way into your garden. The other is going to grow stores.
Yep.
When you go to a store, anybody that's infested, that has it on their clothes when they go in, now guess what? It's at the grocery store. You're picking it up, you're taking it home. So doing different IPM, integrated pest management treatments, every so often to help. Uh, I use neem oil. So a lot of people don't like to use it. They believe that it's full of azadirachtin, and that's not the case. There is some there, but it's not enough that it hurts or harms bees, which that's the thing to me. If it harms bees, I'm not going to use it. Like fungicides and pesticides and chemicals like that. Neem doesn't mess with bees or worms. So I'll use stuff like that. I'll use Bavaria bassiana, which is a type of fungus that will actually grow on the body of the pest and kill it that way, kind of suffocate
Yep.
it. I'll use different mites or predator mites. Some of the things that I'll look at. Some of the other things that I'll try to do, like sulfur spray, micronized sulfur. That's one thing that you can use to help fight russet mites. Really, all pests, especially powdery mildew. That's a good one. A lot of people try to burn sulfur. So there's different styles of pest management that you can use and try.
Okay. All right. So I have a question in the chat. I usually don't ask these questions like that, but it said, "What's a cheap IPM that you used to use yourself?"
A cheap IPM, really, neem
Hmm.
oil is pretty inexpensive. Neem oil
Okay.
itself, not like Azamax or some of the other ones that have other chemicals to it to fight, but neem oil, you can find a pretty inexpensive U.S. made neem oil.
Okay. And I want to go back to what you said about your pets, the pets and stuff. I want to just add on to it. To the people out there, usually when you're going from, if you have an outdoor grow, an indoor grow, and you're going outside to inside, make sure that you wash up, change your clothes. Don't handle your plants. If I was gonna do my indoor, I have my because I did do that. I would do my go in, deal with my indoor first, and then go outdoors and work on my plants. So I wouldn't have to come back and bring anything into my grow.
Well, don't take your outdoor or your indoor plants outside to get some
Oh yeah.
sunlight
Oh yeah, we
because
don't. No, no, I'm talking about. I have an indoor. I had an indoor setup,
yeah,
and I also had an outdoor setup. And yes, we don't. That's one of the biggest things that I do preach. We don't do this indoor, outdoor, outdoor, indoor, because what happens is you're bringing within an hour you can have 1,000 pests on your plants. You don't even know. So besides all that, let me get back to these questions. I just wanted to make sure that talking about IPM, that's one of my biggest things. Um, How do you ensure quality in your garden? How do you ensure that you're putting out good quality cannabis every time at the end of your grows?
well, that comes down to curing because it don't matter about the fucking flower. If I'm not curing properly, it's gonna smell like fucking hay. It's gonna smell like alfalfa, wet, moist. I'm losing my terpene profile. So I can grow these big donkey dick colas, but if I
Mm,
don't cure it properly, it's a fucking waste.
you, yeah, you wasted
90%
all
of
your time.
people I want to smoke that unless you fucking blast it or wash it or something else because you pretty much destroyed your terpene profile on that plant. So to me, quality control comes from curing my plant properly.
Okay. Um, I personally know, like, I don't want to waste 90 days, 100 days of my life and just ruin it within just by not properly curing or waiting 30 days or so on and so forth. So yeah, that was a good answer to a question. Can you share any unique or innovative approaches you developed for cannabis cultivation?
No, I haven't reinvented the wheel or tried to reinvent the wheel. I've
You
just
have no tips or tricks or anything like for well,
not
you
really
know,
because all the information's out there. Like there's people say you can do this to clone, and then people say you can do that to clone. Well, I've tried every fucking method, and I still have issues with every method of cloning. Sometimes they won't take. Sometimes all of them will take. It's hit and miss. If you're looking for good quality cannabis, some of it comes to actual genetics and not hype genetics because a lot of it's hype. Like to me, that's not good quality genetics. A lot of them have issues growing them out. Um, so looking for people that have been around and not just a new seed company or a new breeder, look for companies that's been around for a little longer. Like even DNA is a good one. DNA genetics. They've
genetics.
been
I heard
around for a
about those.
long time and they have some good quality shit. Like they had years ago cannabis haze or cantaloupe haze. And I swear you not, my jar, even when it was still smelled like fucking cantaloupe. That's how the profile in that plant was.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of places that what is it you're looking for? Is it profiles, gas, or fruity? Because there's a lot of different shit out there to try.
Yep. You're definitely right when it comes down to terpene profiles. What are you looking for actually in your weed? Are you looking for the super high THC, which is, I think that's just something that most growers are just chasing a number when it's all about this personal preference. I might not like this weed or this terpene profile, but I might like the structure. You know what I'm saying? I might not like the smell, but you might love it. Yeah, it might not work for my pain, but it might work for yours, so on and so forth.
I don't follow the hype on THC percentages because a lot of it's falsified. Listen, here in Colorado, they have up to 15% variance that they can add to it, plus or minus. So if it's really 15%, they say it's 20%. They have that adjustability in it. And most people don't understand that about the percentages. There's a variability that they can add to it to make it higher and say it's higher. It's not always the case. I prefer a full cannabinoid profile. So if a plant's lower in THC but has CBG, CBA, CBD, I'm looking for a plant like that because that's going to get me higher than a high THC plant.
Okay. Um, let me see, where was I? Okay. What challenges have you encountered in YouTube or and in the cannabis community, and how did you overcome them?
Um, I'm an overcomer. I have haters that always hate on my channel every few years. When you just stop talking about them, you don't give them credit or acknowledgement. They still talk about you, so you live rent free in their heads. You get free publicity from the channel, sending people over to your channel, but I don't give it back. So I look at it as I'm winning in that sense because you can hate on me, but I'm trying not to hate on you. I'm not trying to give you the shout out you want to give me. Overcoming obstacles. Some of the obstacles that I've overcome, like being a cultivator, you earn like badges of overcoming shit, like rusted mites or spider mites or fucking your plant's about dead and you're trying to re-veg it to keep the plant alive. Like you earn badges from overcoming shit, and I've got so many different badges over the years. Just it happens. You come across it. You
Yeah.
get an infestation without understanding what's going on, and then it's like, oh shit, where did this come from? How do I do this? How do I stop it?
That's totally understandable. Um, Talk about the haters. Like I have, I've been going through some recently too, and it's just like you said. Sometimes you have to just ignore them, and they practically somewhat. They, like you said, I love saying that same phrase. You live free in their head. So uh, this is how I. That's how I always see it. See, I already know how YouTube is and how cruel and fucking vicious it can really be, and the same thing in the cannabis industry. It can be very cruel and very like people. Some people might say I grow better than you. It might be this. It might be that. But at the end of the day, I'm growing my best cannabis for me.
Well, and that's the thing. We're supposed to be a community of cultivators learning to grow from each other. We're supposed to be sharing the information so everybody can improve. If you've grown the same method for 3 years and never changed nothing, how do you not know that you can't grow something with a better profile? The same plants that you've been growing, if you tried a couple different amendments to that recipe or whatever you're doing, how do you know it's not going to have a better profile than what you're doing now? It's like, as somebody that I always want to advance my education, I always want to know more information that as it comes out. And so that to me is like, I don't know if you've ever heard of a cat named Brandon Russ or Russ Brandon. He's a pretty big influencer on Instagram, YouTube. Um, he puts out a lot of great information about cultivating and going above and beyond, like going to the weed nerd status that we were talking about earlier, like sharing out that deep conversation with people because people want that information. They don't want it the first 2 years, maybe, because they just want to understand how to grow. But as you get further in your cultivation understanding, you want to dive deeper and understand this. And a lot of people out there, some of the haters are like, oh, you don't need to know this stuff. You fucking really don't. But if you have the understanding of it, you'll be able to fight off pest and pathogens better. You'll be able to produce a better genetic profile on the plant. Because I had, I'm trying to remember what cut it was I got from my buddy Dung Beetle. And this was like one of his favorite cuts at the time. And I grew it out in my living soil and took it to him and let him smoke it. And he said, bro, what is that? I was like, that's the cut you gave me. He's like, no way. I don't get out of it. That tastes way different. He grows in DWC cocoa. That's his method. And I've shown him that I got a whole different genetic profile growing in living soil and my cultivation method than what he was doing. And so that blew him away alone, just like, bro, I couldn't believe you got that profile out of it. Like, that's way different than what I had. I do it all the time to people.
Yeah, it's always that wow factor when they actually get to see what you can actually do with the same cultivar. especially if it's one of their cuts, like so it's one of their own something they've been running for a while. And like, this is not it. Yeah, I did that just recently with the lava breath. Um, it's kind of crazy, especially when you to the other people. It's enjoyable to watch their expression when you actually tell them. But yeah,
Their
um,
reaction, it says it all. Like, whoa,
yeah,
like expecting that. I was expecting what I'm used to. No, it's a little different, huh? It's like to me, it's like almost saying that it's a stronger taste or aroma than what they were able to produce themselves.
good. Um, what roles does sustainability, like being sustainable, in your play in your cannabis grow practices, like to make sure that outside of what you've been doing lately with the recovery videos, if you was having like your perfect grows, which is perfect grows, uh, how do you keep it stable to have a perfect grow?
Well, a lot of that's following, like being consistent in the room, being
Hmm.
consistent on my feedings, making sure that I'm overlooking my plants and not just, oh, I'm watering, gotta go. Taking time out to actually look at everything, taking time out. Because, like, I used to spend hours a day in my garden. Now I'm fucking working full time. I don't spend the amount of time in my garden. And it's harder to do because I have a life. And so when I'm not working, I have fucking hours and hours to spend in a garden to really make sure everything's consistent and everything's going. Working, it's a lot harder. You have a schedule to balance. So I still have to be consistent in my feedings, making sure my plants are being watered when they're calling for it, making sure that I'm doing my IPM every so often to make sure I'm not getting anything in my garden. So that's what it really takes.
Okay.
I'll be right
So
back.
talk,
Let me
go
let
ahead.
me let the dogs out real quick. I'll be right back.
Yep, I had to do the same thing. So trust me, it's no problem. How you guys doing out there, homie? Jay Light and Galaxy, Norman, VPD, all of you guys out there in the chat. Cheers, y'all. Cheers. I can't get through it all the way. A Canada, ATC, A DJ is man.
All right.
Greenthumb
Sorry about
Hill.
that.
No problem. I was just saying, shouting out to people in the chat. Shout out to all 45 of you guys out there watching. Um, and all my haters. Um, what's the
Well, you
what's
you see my
the
title, right? Under medically
yes?
fit. This is all for my super fans. My super fans are what I call my haters because they are the ones
Okay,
that watch my videos that more than anybody else. So I call them super
okay.
fans.
If you want to say, if you haven't, well, I'm gonna get to that. We can talk about that at the end of the show, at the end of the episode, after the interview. Um, where was I? Okay, what is the importance of selecting the right genetics?
Well, that's an interesting conversation because years ago, my roommate and I had this conversation about in a 10 pack of seeds can I find that fire? And her response was, well, to you it might not be, but to somebody else it might be. So
Mhm.
that's a tough question because you can find something that you really enjoy that you take it to somebody else and they don't like it as much. They don't enjoy it as much. So it's kind of hit and miss on, like, I like stuff that's gassy just because I like that profile. When it comes to
Okay,
a lot of lemon type profile, I'm over that. I've been over that. Man, that shit went around for so long. I'd rather smoke something else than lemon.
okay, um, okay. I mean, like to me with genetics, I feel like again what I said about genetics. Okay, it's like what you like might like in terpene profiles and so on and so forth. But I know people out there they chase genetics. There's people that out there just want to grow one. They just want to grow in house. They just want to grow a copycats. They just want to grow and not knowing that it's way out. There's more strains, there's more cultivars, there's more terpene. This might be something out there that you like that you overlooking. And when it comes down to genetics, I always tell people first things first, especially if you're a new grower. Get your plant in the ground, learn how the plant grows, learn the biology of the plant, and then get through a couple of harvests, and then you can go ahead and try something new.
Well, that's the thing. You grow it out one time, you didn't necessarily get the full potential of that plant. It takes at least a couple grows of that cultivation to understand what it enjoys, what it needs, what it wants before you kind of dial it in. Because the time I can grow it, yeah, but if I grow it another time, whoa, wait a minute, I've got something else out of it that I didn't get before. Well, what did I change about this grow than the last time? Like people over time will see that plant kind of change its profile as you learn to dial it in.
Well, I mean, I can agree and disagree with that too. Like um I've grown plenty of cultivars and ran that same over and over and over and had something consistent every single time. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, there's been times I've grown in one way and I didn't get like the bud size because I fucked up on it. I didn't get that full terpene because I didn't feed it what it wanted at this time. And again, to understand the new cultivars that I'm going to be growing, yeah, it might take me one, two, three times, but when I get when I get it locked in, it's constant. It's usually constant that same way. So I mean, I can, like I said, I agree with you when you say you might not see the full expression out of a plant within that first growth, but sometimes when you go to run it again and again and again, you see that okay, well, this might be its full expression that I actually hit. So,
Yeah,
um,
I could agree with that
okay.
because I mean that's very understandable.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't want to really like get into it back and forth, but I'm just saying, just if I hear something that that I don't agree with, I will go ahead and let you know also. But yeah, I mean, it's a catch 22. Six in one hand, half a dozen in the other. It's all again strain dependent and your
Well,
personal preference.
if you're running the same nutrient regimen as a hydro grower, you can be consistent from the first flower time that you flowered that cultivate to the very last time. Living soil, it might change a little bit on you because your recipe, you might have changed it up a
Hmm.
little bit. You might have added a little bit more of this, a little less of that. So you're right. It's more about the consistency and what you're doing from the get go.
Hmm.
If you grow, changing your methods, your styleology, and your nutrient regimen, like if you use general hydroponics the whole time all the way through, it's going to be consistent. But if you go to change it to like nectar of the gods, all of a sudden you might get something different and then not grow the same. So yeah,
Yeah.
I could understand some of that for sure.
Okay. Um, let me see. What was I? What can you discuss the impact of environmental factors on your growth?
Oh, they're huge. That's it, all the way down to like understanding epigenetics, the light intensity to the wind to the moisture content in the soil or your relative humidity in the tent. All of those have environmental changes or stressors to your plant. And when you're, how do I explain it? Like if your pots get too dry, your plants are going to want to kind of wilt up. Um, you water them, they pop back up. That stress of the dry to wetness, like that kind of happens naturally in Mother Nature, but we don't really do it home cultivation. We try to keep most of our pots from being too dry, at least keep some moisture to them. So that's some of the environmental stressors and changes that we do that we have to look at. My light intensity on a lot of LED lights, I can start off at 25 to 40%. By the time I go into flower, I want to turn it up to almost 80%. I don't ever really do 100% on my LEDs because then I'm just running the efficiency down and losing the lifetime on the light, which I can still get the same production on a little less, like 80%. So, I mean, wind. Some people use multiple fans in their tents or their grow rooms to help move the wind around. So some people use one fan and it's not enough. They're not getting under the canopy or above the canopy. And it's like some of those will help cause like PM problems. So those are environmental stressors that we kind of watch out for.
Okay. Let me see. What was I? I was talking about how. Okay, here we go. How do you manage your water and nutrient needs of your cannabis plant?
So watering, usually depending on the pot size and the outside environment, because I check my pots. Usually that will help really tell if my plants need watered. If my pots are kind of heavy, I know there's still moisture in there, but if they're fucking light as air, oh shit, they need water. The other is environmental factors. Sometimes you water your plants and also using up the water and your pots are a little wet longer than normal. Well, that does happen, especially when the environment changes outside. Some of those conditions will affect the uptake of your water in the soil. So I try to go every 3 days, like Wednesdays and Sundays as kind of like my days I'm looking at. Sometimes my plants will still need watered before then, especially if they're a big plant in a small pot. They really consume a lot more water. So that's why I kind of look at my pot size and my
Okay.
condition.
All right. So what about the nutrition part of it? When it comes down to when do you know when your plant is ready to feed? Because some people feed, water, feed. Do you just feed, or you feed, water, feed, or you might water, so on and so forth?
I try to rotate the waterings, feeding. So
Mhm.
I don't feed my plants because most of the time I'm using a super soil. Everything's there. So I water. But when I do watering, sometimes like I'll rotate between using um, dry organic amendment tea to like using fulvic and humic acids and biologies like different biological like photosynthesis plus or EM1 or things like that.
Microbes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then sometimes I'll use just sugar water, different sugars like cane sugar, molasses, brown sugar, just different types of carbohydrates for the biology to really consume. And so it depends on what week. So some weeks I water twice,
Hmm.
where one of those times it's going to be one of those. So I try to rotate every week. So one week would be the biology, the next week would be like the fulvic, humic, the following week would be like the amendment T.
Okay, because I was like, okay, so the reason I was asking because it would the other way. How do you manage the water? I mean, the nutrients. Is it when do you want to feed, or you already have it set up so you don't have to worry about seeing a deficiency or so on and so forth, right? Do you still when you do it when you're on those type of schedules? Do you still get this? Do you still experience deficiencies here and there?
So yeah, if I'm in 1 gallon pots and my plants are outgrowing the pot and they're becoming like root bound in a sense, after I fed it a tea, I could watch my plants almost if the biology's consumed most of the nutrients up in the soil, they'll still start to get yellow. They'll still look like they're having nitrogen, like they're looking for nitrogen. And a lot of it after I transplant, it will take care of the issue. But it's always more in my smaller pots where I consume more of the nutrients in them, especially as the plants get bigger, than I
Mhm.
do in bigger pots. Because
So you don't
by the
go
time
ahead.
I'm in my bigger pot, I'm getting ready to go into flower, so there should be enough nutrients for it to get through that flower cycle.
Okay. I can understand running out of nutrients in a smaller pot. Being root bound, I mean, from my experience being root bound, I really feel like that's not the case. As long as you can continue to feed the roots and the plant can continue to stay growing. I've been in the solo. I stay in a solo. I can stay in a solo cup forever. I had a mother in a 3 gallon pot that I flowered out. Um, yeah, I could. I mean, being root bound can happen, but long as you can keep up with feeding the plant. That's the only difference.
Well, if you go back to my videos, the
Mhm.
16-ounce solo cup challenge, I grew 2 plants from start to finish in solo cups. Like I had to fucking feed them a lot. Top dressing was people have to understand top dressing, okay? A lot of people, oh, I'm going to top dress. Top dressing still takes up to 20 days or longer for it to fully be broken down and made available for your plants to uptake. So if you're doing it, you need to do it sooner than later before you really start to see that you're having issues. Teas are something that can help a little quicker with getting nutrients uptake because it's a solubility, it's already ready for the plant to uptake. It's almost like bottle feeding the plant at that point. So, yes, it's very possible. I've done it. Do I do it now? No, I don't really top feed my plants. I let them get to a certain size, certain like veg time, and then it's time to transplant and get ready for flower. Like
Okay.
that's I've talked about vegging my plants out 6 months before. And people are like, "Oh, you're crazy. Why?" Well, when you understand how big that plant got and how much I got off of it weight wise, it was worth it for me. But not everybody wants to veg out a plant for 6 months.
Yeah, I know somebody who vegged the plant for 200 and something days. Don't want to mention his name, but yeah. Um, it's somebody totally different. He vegged out for like 200 and I think 220 something days before he went to flower. He had the worst flower in it. Well, anyways, um, how do you maintain a healthy, productive cannabis garden?
What was that? You're,
I
I was
said,
kind
how
of
do
cutting
you
out.
maintain? I'm sorry. How do you maintain a healthy, healthy, productive cannabis garden?
Okay. Is everything fine? Because I know I was having a problem with the stream. Just a minute.
Hold on. I see it's jumping. Hold on. I just took my
Okay.
headset out and put it back in. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. So, yep. What was the
All
question one
right.
more
I was
time?
like, how do you? Uh, I was like, how do you maintain a healthy and productive cannabis garden?
Maintain a healthy, productive cannabis garden.
Healthy and productive cannabis garden. It's one of the questions.
What was the first part of that question?
How do you maintain
That's
a
well, that's what I'm.
healthy?
Okay. So maintaining a healthy garden. A healthy garden is one that's pest free, maintenance free. You can't be on autopilot. You always have to be in there, like I was talking about earlier. Consistency,
Yep.
being in the room, checking things over, checking the bottom of your leaves for pests, seeing if there's any issues, checking the soil moisture content of your plants. You could do other things like sap analysis of your plant and see what the nutrients are and different tests like that. Not everybody's got a couple $100 to do that though. So, being consistent on your regiments of watering, feeding, biologicals. I think that's some of what it takes because if you aren't consistent and you miss a day here or miss a day there, you start to run into problems over time.
Okay. I know that you grow indoor and outdoor. Um, how do you go about the difference in the IPM or the how much you need to feed your IPM to first is like your IPM, your pest management from the outdoor, and what's the difference between outdoor and indoor pest management? Since you were saying you use like to bring in like predator bugs and stuff like that, but when you're outdoors, it's a little different because you know if I
You're kind of at the mercy of Mother Nature outdoors. You can
hmm
still do different biological, like Bavaria bassiana. You can still do neem and sulfur treatments, but as the plant gets much bigger, that's a lot more product you're using to treat that plant. By the time it starts to go into flower, there's not much you can do except let Mother Nature kind of really deal with everything because you're still going to get russet mites. You're still going to get spider mites. You're still going to get thrips and aphids. It's what's around it that helps suppress them. That's what you're trying to get in your outdoor garden. That's why using a lot of these cover crops, these companion plants to bring in these predator bugs and pests to help keep the populations down are what you're looking to do.
okay. Can you share any experiences um, or lessons learned from experimenting with different mediums, nutrients, and so on and so forth, different styles of growing?
Well, that's where I first talked about trying doing bottled nutrients in soil
Hmm.
and then going into aquaponics. Uh, aquaponics was fun, but it was challenging because trying to keep the right pH for the fish and the plants, that's where that was a little bit more challenging to understand that system. Once I really started understanding measurements like the hydro, bottled nutrients, that wasn't too difficult because I had to start understanding how to measure out my biologicals because some of them will say use so many milliliters per 5 gallons so that's kind of what I had to learn over the time. um, I still prefer growing in living soil over those two. To me it's just I keep it simple.
They just keep it simple. All right.
Hmm.
We're getting to the end of this interview. I want to ask you probably like a couple of questions, and then we can go into an open conversation. Um, can you can you share your vision of the future of sustainable and responsible cannabis cultivation in your area?
Well, sustainable and responsible.
Hmm.
A lot of that has to come back to what are you doing with your wastewater? I don't have any wastewater. Your bottled nutrients, your DWCs, where are you dumping all that shit? Are you dumping it down the drain and ruin everybody's drinking water that they have to treat that? Like, look at where your shit's going. I don't have a lot of wastewater or runoff like you guys do. I don't have to dispose of that shit. My water, the soil uptakes it. Like, if you're really looking at carbon footprint, I'm leaving way less of a carbon footprint. Matter of fact, doing the regenerative soil, I'm building carbon. So if we're in a carbon market, I would be making money because I'm building biomass and putting carbon back into the soil, where
Yeah.
they're not doing that with hydro DWC type growing. These large cannabis cultivations that grow that same method and style, look at the fucking footprint that they're leaving behind. It's horrible. But you look at Green Life Productions out in Nevada, Las Vegas, and what he's doing,
Mhm.
it's crazy because he's building so much biomass, putting carbon back into the soil, using cover crops, doing the regenerative beds. Like, people said it can't be done. Sorry, it is being done, and he's on his like 35th cycle of it. And the type of flower that's coming out of it, like, it's renowned for what it is. Steve Cantrell, I believe is
Steve.
his name.
Okay. Um, again, it's our we're getting to the end of the show. Are there any specific tips or any specific tips you can offer aspiring cannabis growers?
Yes. Do research yourself. Don't listen to these fucking clown haters that hate on other people. Go out there and actually do some research yourself. Because when you stop listening to that noise and you actually open a book or watch some educational lectures yourself and that information pours in you, you're going to look at these clown ass fools and be like, yo, these fools really don't know anything about cultivation. They just are here to, I guess, cause drama, hate on other channels, but they're not putting out information or telling you this and that. Like I try to give tidbits of information on my channel because I want you to do your own research. I want to give you enough to make you want to know more about it because it's not, I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you fucking drink it. Okay. I can lead you to
Okay.
the information, but it's whether you want to absorb it and take it in or not. If you want to then apply it, you'll see the results. I have a lot of people, YouTube
Hmm.
and Instagram, that have tried growing different soil recipes. One of them, mine. They really enjoyed what they got out of the flower. They even commented many times, bro, I found your videos and I've been following your recipes and I'm just really happy of what kind of production I'm getting compared to what I was getting growing out of cocoa and hydro. And I get that a lot more than my haters understand. And that's what keeps me motivated is my actual people that follow some of the recommendations and suggestions I do and suggest, and they try them out and they actually see the results I'm talking about. I can just leave it at that.
Okay. Let me see. What advice do you have for your viewers who want to grow cannabis, their own cannabis at home? That's the final question, and then we can go into whatever you want to talk about.
So keep it simple. Don't get overwhelmed. There's a lot of information out there. Start off real simple. Start off with a good bag soil and just work from there. Start off with a couple plants. Uh, do some like watching some videos or some research on people kind of giving out some of this information you're looking for. Follow some of it because it's just not cultivation of marijuana. You find gardening tips that will help you grow. You can find people like Dr. Elaine Ingham. You can find Chris Nichols or Ray Archuleta or Gabe Brown or some of these other people out there teaching about soil and soil biology. So there's so much information out there. Keep it simple. Start off small, build your knowledge, become a weed nerd like the rest of us.
Okay. Um. Well, this is the end of the interview part of the show. Um. Now, this is where I usually go ahead and not like I said, I don't usually open the panel. If you want, I can, like I said, I can ask people in the chat if they want to come up. I can do the questions, or I can just I all I do is I click on the things, and anybody that's asking a question, you must put a question mark at the end of it for me to put it up because it has to be a question. It can't be no dumb statements, no bullshit. Just give me a question, and I'm gonna put it up on the screen for him to answer, or I can open up the panel however you want, one by one.
Well, that's really up to what you want to have on your
I
show.
know. Okay. So everybody in the chat, you say all cap with questions. Okay, there you go. All cap with questions, so I can read it out.
Because right now I see a
Thank.
lot of. I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
I exactly. Thank you for doing the interview with me, bro. And I really
Yeah,
do appreciate. You said the panel needs to like VPD. VPD is actually a good person. I know personally. You would you like to ask him a question, VPD? Um, he wants you to smoke. Do you say do you smoke? Do you actually smoke your personal cannabis?
always. Like that's what I grow for is for personal consumption. I don't really sell to anybody. That black market's kind of sold its way here in Colorado. It's so hard to even fucking make money. Like my buddy's sitting on pounds for 500 and still can't move them. Like that's how bad the black market is. And this is fucking grown living soil. Like the pros on it are fucking phenomenal. But when nobody wants to fucking buy weed from you and would rather go to a dispensary, like what do? You just consume it for yourself at that point.
Yeah, okay. One of the questions is uh, why he takes 6 months to flower in a 2 foot canopy.
Well, this was a 6 by 8 room that I vegged my Mac 1 out for 6 months. And if you don't know anything about Mac 1, because a lot of people have never grown it out, it grows very slow. Sometimes it takes a long time to really take off. Sometimes, if like it took that plant to get about 4 foot 6 months, and it just was a slow growth. And a lot of people that's grown it out, they see that. If you keep it in your veg room with other plants, you will see other plants out veg it and grow it in the same amount of time.
Um, I let me see. I'm gonna take you downstairs. I could rather show you. Um, my Mac ones, I drop. Cut those clones in the same time everything else is in here,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're. I mean, literally, they're even. Only ones that's not is the blue goddess, which was grown from seed, but everything else was cut. Give me a second if I can turn my camera around. And me and the Mac. Well, this is a main reason I've been growing the Mac one. I've been telling people the same reason. Um, I wanted to prove to people that the Mac one is really not that slow, as some people per se. Like
So
this is the
you have heard it many times though before
yeah.
that Mac one
I've
is.
heard yeah. I've heard it a million times. I've grown it before. I think
Mhm.
years ago. I've grown it. These are Mac ones, caps cut, same same ones I grown for like I think 3 years ago, 4 years ago. My play, I'm gonna put my hand in there because it's for some reason it's the yellow balance. It's crazy, but yeah, this is them. And all right, so these are the Mac ones, and then these are London Rents cakes, and they're these two right here, and they're all the same equal level. This is a cherry pie, and then when I get down at the height of everything, they are like almost high on
Same, yeah, same canopy
yeah
level. Yep.
yeah. I have everything leveled all the way out. My camera is on a mirror, that's why it's fucking with me. Bum. So this is something I've been just showing to people. Like I'm doing the same thing. I'm flipping this tonight myself. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hold on. I did not click any of that shit. Hold on. I did not click any of that. I just got my shit up to turn my camera around. Hold on. All right. So where was I? All right. No, if he still want to fight. Whoa. I see that
Oh,
you have a lot of people here that doesn't do you breed? Here you go. CT actions. Do you breed?
I've done some breeding. Years ago, I created Salida OG, which was Purple Deadhead OG times King Urkel OG. I had some that really came out like grape soda phenos that literally smelled like grape soda. A lot of them came out like gas. So I had like a lot of the OG coming out and some of the like, to me, the Urkel coming out the other half of it. I did a Noble Charlotte, which was a Blue Wiser, which was Pennywise times Blue Dream times we were told it was a Charlotte's Web, but when we tested it, it wasn't. But that was like a 1-to-1 ratio that we were getting out of that THC to CBD, which was a really nice one for medical. Yeah, I've done quite a bit over the years, but I don't do it really. I don't, not trying to breed to be in business or anything like that. You know, I might cross some shit here and there and see what comes out of it just to play with it, but not really into breeding a whole lot.
Okay. Uh,
Yes, I see. He asked if I breed it past an F1. I've gone to F3s on my Salida. The F2s, the Phenos, I found one in Vegas. Like Envy Closet Med Grower was over at my house and he smelt it and he literally is like, bro, this is grape soda. When it got into flower, it was more of like a grape wine smell that came out of it. So the F2 series were, how do I want to say it? They were little, the variants and the genetics are way different than the F1s were, for sure.
oh man. Grown up girl said, "What's up, Matt Fit? Have you grown past?" Okay, I'm sorry. I was back before because tried to tell you. He said, "Or S1 only." Okay, so on and so forth. Who is this girl? Blah blah blah. Ask Matt Fit if his skills pay the bills, or does he still have to need that real job?
Well, black market skills don't pay the bills, that's for sure, because the fucking market's not there. So why am I going to try to produce pounds at less than $500 a pound when I spend more than that just to get a lot of it fucking paid for, like nutrients or fucking indoor
Yeah,
growing? So it's not worth it. So 95% of the people I know that grow black market had to find a real fucking job because the market's no longer there. And it's sad, but that's how the market is.
I I don't know what that video is, J Rock, but I can't see it right now. I can't click the link. So sorry, I'm not pulling up no. What else is here? It doesn't take 500 a pound. What? Oh, I see. I remember what you were screaming the other day. That is, I think that'll be it for the end of. I don't. Do you buy weed as well as grow it? Okay, there go Uncle Don. That's a good question.
Yes, because there's times in between my grows and harvest that I have to wait, especially like when I moved from the place I was renting to the house I bought. Um, I wasn't growing, so I had to buy weed from the dispensary. So yeah, yes, if you have a card on, it's a grower's card, you can sell to dispensaries, but it's at wholesale prices, which are like $200 to $300 a pound right now for wholesale. So black market, even at $500 a pound, is a better choice than wholesaling right now. And the fucked up part is the dispensary will sell it and get $3,200 to $4,600 out of that pound, and you're only getting fucking 200 to 500.
That is a pure fucking ripoff.
That's why a lot of fucking like Trinidad, Colorado is over $1 million in the hole because the market bottomed out on them. 3 big grows out of 7 are closing up shop down there. They have 23 dispensaries in a town of like 14,000 people. Everybody from Texas to New Mexico, Oklahoma were coming up. When Oklahoma went live, it fucked
Mm.
everything for everybody here in Colorado. and California and most of the West Coast.
Okay. I'm sorry. I tried to turn my camera around again. There we go. Oh, hey. Do you have? Are you at your location where your grow is?
Yep.
Uh, can you have any plans? Would you like to show or share?
If I can get my, I don't. I'm on the phone. I'm on my computer, but
Okay, but I can bring you up. I sent you the link to the stream yards. You can
so I
click
can
that
do it
link, and
from
yeah, I
my
can bring
phone.
you up. All you have to do, yeah, you all you have to
Okay.
do is just mute the laptop, and then I can bring you up and backstage, and then I can just show us your growth. Yeah, growth though. The government killed everybody hopes and dreams as usual.
The problem is that when it goes federal, you think you're paying tax on the shit now at dispensaries. Wait till the fucking feds want their taxes too. It's going to be like 50% fucking tax on everything. Because right now it's already 25 to 30% in a lot of places.
Yeah, most definitely. Government ain't hard to compete with. I think.
Signed in
Uh,
right now, so
all right.
okay.
Take your time. Okay, while we're doing that, I can ask you a question. With many states legalizing, what do you think is going to happen at that federal level, and when do you think it's going to happen?
Well, the feds have a hard time wanting to legalize anything for our benefit. So
Okay,
I think it may still be a few years down the road. If Trump gets back into presidency, I don't see it happening during Trump. If a Democrat's in presidency, it may happen. Um, that's kind of how I see. I don't see a lot of Republicans supporting it yet, like the Democrats. So it's kind of tough on that one. I just don't think it's going to be in the next 3 years or so. A lot of people are hoping it sooner, but I don't. It's hard to say. Uh, if it does, these states that are still not even medical or recreational, like at least these people finally get a chance to fucking either grow their own or be able to get to a dispensary legally and not have to worry about fucking getting caught up.
okay. Um, what are your thoughts about the talks of moving from Schedule 1 to 3?
Well, it's
Mm.
still kind of higher than
Do you
like
think it's going to
Colorado.
affect the growers? Because I don't think they're going to let you grow your own medicine. They don't let you make your own fucking aspirin at home.
Well, Colorado's decriminalized mushrooms, so you can grow your own. You can be in possession of them, but you can't sell them, give them away. So that's kind of that gray area. Like I believe federally that we'll see more mushrooms becoming available than marijuana in a sense because there's a lot more research already out there. But when you have cannabis as a Schedule 1, it's very hard to have the research done. The only ones that can do it are universities that have a Schedule 1 drug license. So it, I think it's challenging. A lot of these states, I think, are better off just doing it themselves and legalizing it for uh, their citizens.
You guys can ask, okay, you guys can ask whatever questions, but y'all ain't follow none of the fucking rules that I asked for, okay? I said, ask them legitimate questions and I said, put a question mark at the end. Uh, Here you go. Here's one. Do you think teaching people how to fix problems instead of teaching them how to prevent them in the first place makes sense? That's a proper question.
Uh, I would say yes and no. Yes, because preventing things from happening is a good thing. But no matter what you do, it's still going to happen. You think you're not going to get PM in your room, and all of a sudden, bam, it fucking happens. Like my video of what the fuck do you mean I can smoke powdery mildew? Like, look at all the views on that video in the comments. So many people are like, bro, I can relate. This is the first time I'm dealing with it. Like, what the fuck? They understand what's happening, and they finally are dealing with the emotion themselves of, bro, like, is my room fucked up? Is this my flower? Like, what's going on? Like, that's what I'm trying to understand. Like, people want this information, and the people that want to hate on me because I'm trying to teach people how to deal with the issues that arise, like, you guys, that's on you. You guys don't want to listen to it, then don't fucking watch my videos. Plain and simple. You want to hate on me because I'm trying to teach people that don't understand this shit, because you aren't. Your fucking videos aren't teaching people how to deal with this. All you guys are doing is fucking hating on people that grow differently than you. And it's nonsense. And that's why I call you guys clowns, because this is supposed to be a community, and all you guys are doing is in hate community instead of being in love, because it's about growers love. We're supposed to be helping each other, sharing information. You guys don't like what I teach, don't fucking follow me. Hit the road. But you guys are my super fans. You guys follow everything I do. That's why I live rent free in your house, in your mind. Why you guys talk about me a lot in your videos and your live streams. But what's my favorite top strains? Damn, there's so many out there though. Like, I was smoking a Red Runts about a couple weeks ago, and that was really enjoyable, just the profile. But if I go to like some of the old school shit that I really liked, SFEOG was one of my favorite ones. I really
San
enjoyed that
Vernali
profile. Yep, San Vernali OG was one of the
was
ones
one.
I enjoyed.
That was one of my favorites too.
Some of the orange profiles, like the Mendo Dope Fire Dope that Subcool had, that was really enjoyable. Like, really just loud orange, or you'd get the jelly bean, you would get like a burnt orange pheno in that. Like, some of those were really enjoyable. Mac One, that's one of them. I really enjoy that. I've been keeping it around for the last couple of years. I just really enjoy that. So there was a Chernobyl cut called Slimer Golden Ticket that was really unique profile. My Primo Kush reminds me a lot of that. It's just really unique, almost like an Ajax kind of chemical flavor to it. Man, there's a lot out there. Like, Blue Dream was a fun one. It was fun, but I can't say it's in my top 5. I'm a gas person. Like Sour D, those were shit like that.
And New York NYC Sour Diesel is one of my top 5 strains. It would be like NYC Diesel, Forbidden Fruit, Sunset Sherbet, um, Lava Breath. Of course, that's one of the most trichome producing plants I ever grown. And um, I'm not gonna lie to you. I gotta add one more in there, like 2 more in there. It would be this cherry pie that I just cultivated. It reminds me of sour diesel so much. It has a sour cherry fucking turkey smell to it. I mean, it's fucking phenomenal. The tight nuts. I love that right. That it's almost empty. I'm trying to save it.
I've got one more for you. Let my dogs in. I'll be right back.
Mm. Then we gonna get them to go show this growth. Ah, chill the fuck out. You say I'm gonna ask your question, Ghost.
All right. So my all-time favorite, and I've only come across it once, and I haven't found the same cut. Girl Scout cookie straight thin mints. And literally through the whole fucking blunt, it smelled like Thin Mint cookie. Like so good. And I only found it one time when I was in Las Vegas, and it was so hard, I have never found it again. Another one was called Friesland. That came out of Minnesota when I lived in Iowa. And that shit was so fire and so like frosty white. Smoking that, like I thought I seen everything go cartoonish on me. Like that's how I felt when I smoked that shit.
Yeah, I've only been that high off of like concentrate. Um, let me see, is there any more? I don't get like that unless it's concentrate. Like for real, me personally, I have a high tolerance, so I concentrate what I like. Um, I'll go say, all right. So he says that you speak, you tell people about bro science and recovery. Um, Let me see. Thought this place was a no fluff zone. Have you ever grew a healthy plant?
All the time. Why don't you go back and watch some of my older videos instead of trying to listen to what people tell you to do? Or like everybody over on your favorite live stream, you know, they've probably never watched any of my older videos showing people actually how to grow. Now it's time to show people how to get through some of the issues that they do, because none of you lamos are out there doing it. I mean, come on, man. Like very few people out here showing issues and how to recover from it. And if you guys wanted to help people out, you probably want to start teaching and educating. Like Dr. T here, he's trying to start doing that. He wants to get more information out there. That's why he asked me to come on and help get some of this information out there.
Um, Let me see what else is there. No, I'm not answering that question.
Sephoria, that's kind of a challenging one. You're going to have to deal with, to me, it's in your soil biology. You're going to have the biologicals right to deal with it. It's not on every plant, is it? Just on a couple? Well, maybe those plants are unhealthy. Maybe you need to learn how to get your plants to recover properly and not have to deal with plants that are sick with Sephoria, because that plant that 6 months to me, 3/4 of a pound.
I'm trying to. Let me see.
I see it. It's trying to cycle through.
Yeah, I'm going through, but my finger is just this fucking phone.
Norman.
All right. So he used to grow good.
Yes.
He just
Nope.
started
Go
killing
back.
them.
Go back.
Which one?
Norman.
Someone else's past. Do y'all stuck in the past? Which one was it?
Right there.
Oh,
Best microbes.
you.
I use a lot of Azos. They're a little better.
Thank you.
That would be one of the better choices for me for good root growth. There are a couple other ones out there that would be okay. I'm trying to think of Robisco is a good one because it takes a while, but it really helps. Azos I really use quite a bit. Couple different bacillus. Trichoderma is another good one. So there's quite a few out there that are really good. Just start killing them? No, it's actually showing people how to get through problems, because my plants are still alive. The only time I actually kill my plant harvest time. So I guess I am a plant killer, killing them at harvest time. Seaweed, kelp, yes and no. So kelp and seaweed have 60 to 70 macronutrients and vitamins to it. The only concern is heavy metals, and that's one of the big sources that people are concerned where their heavy metals are coming into their living soil or their super soil. the amount of macronutrients, if you use small amounts of it, like tablespoons versus cups, it would be more beneficial than not using it. The other question people ask is, you tell people to use heavy metals. Not really. What I tell you is I'm not concerned about heavy metals in my plants because my plant's ecology will stop and not allow the uptake of some of these heavy metals or the chelation of these heavy metals into my plant. As well as your plant needs certain heavy metals to actually have key functions happening, and people don't understand this. And it's not, hey, let's just go dump some of this aluminum on my plant. No, it might mean nanograms of aluminum that it needs, like micrograms or milligrams. Like, people don't understand that. No, I use mainly sulfur and neem seed meal. Those and chitinase from insect frass are what I really use to help improve my terpene profile. It's about the secondary metabolites. Yes, Norman's got a good question coming up. What is
Where is
the
it?
Krebs cycle?
Krebs
cycle is about the energy cycle and the APT ADP production. Yes, Brandon does not like it because of the heavy metals. That's what we were talking about. Transplant with fulvic and seaweed. Well, and see, that's, if you listen to different scientists, some of them still believe in using seaweed or kelp. But when you're growing in a facility, Brandon Russ, and you have to test for heavy metals, he's not wanting to use the seaweed or the kelp because of the heavy metal uptake. Because cannabis is a dynamic, super dynamic accumulator, which means they pull up all the nutrients and whatever chemicals or toxins are in the soil. That's why, like Fukushima, they used a bunch of hemp over there to help pull the radiation out of the soil. Like that, your plant will do that. Cannabis plants do that. Amino acids are a faster source of nitrogen for your plants. And what is it? Amino 9, like there's several different good amino products out there. Key to Life has one of them. I believe it's their Green 9. Yeah, Norman. Anytime. That's what I'm here for, is to help spread information and help get you to. I've been here long enough. Like, that's why people follow me, and people have a hard time understanding how my channel has over 3 million views. Like, because I'm putting out the information people are looking for.
Yep.
People don't understand that.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hey, baby. Come here, Mom.
All right, guys. I think we covered everything else here. Nobody that is winning the fall. All right, so we're done here for the night. Okay, you say Rube. That's what I've learned recently. Okay, we can talk about that one. Good.
The plants make their amino acids through nitrogen, and it takes 18% of daily and vitamin. Yes, even Brandon Russ talks a lot about that. How using amino acids helps free up like some other nitrogen to be used other places, and the amount of energy that your plant uses. I've talked a lot over the years about ADP, ATP energy cycle, the Krebs cycle within the plant, and photosynthesis. And like when people do heavy defoliation, like you're really messing with that. Oh, I'm focusing all my energies to the flower sites. Actually, you're kind of hindering the plant doing a heavy defoliation, because your plant needs the leaf surface to transpire for photosynthesis, for these energy cycles and these nutrient cycles to happen. And when people do heavy defoliations, it is beneficial to an extent, but not to every plant.
I'm going to be ending this. I really do appreciate you coming up, Medically Fit. Um, Thanks for coming up and letting the people know who you are. You actually got to talk to see some of your yeah, you got to speak to some of your haters out here, some of your people that actually watching. Um,
Well, I know a lot of people didn't think that I would do this interview with you. Why would I
mm,
not? You asked
uh,
nicely. You weren't disrespectful about any of it, like a lot of people try to be. I mean, you get more from me doing honey than you do talking shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I'm very respectful and try to, you know, help you and be a part of the show and get the
I
information out
appreciate.
there that you're trying to do. And I have much respect for you for that.
All right, thank you, Letitia. Thank you, Armando. They said, let's push this as culture. There we go. See, now this is what I'm talking about. Where was these? Where were you guys at? Thank you for coming out, guys. Let's talk more. Need more smoking next time. I feel you.
Yeah, do a
He's
little
gonna
dab
smoke one
before we
for.
get out of here. Oh yeah.
All right. And he said 420 trees. Said great show. Yeah, not hate. Oh man, do not do that.
Well, and that's the best part. Like, the show brought both the haters and the followers here tonight. It's still getting the information out that you wanted to get out. Whether it was through love or them trying to hate, we still got the information out you wanted to.
I'm going through it. I appreciate you. I'm happy that you took the to do the interview. Um,
Yeah,
Glad that you watched.
if you ever want to do another one, do a follow up,
Mhm.
I'm welcome to come on, or more than happy to come on and do another deal with you on here.
All right, sometime in the future, I'll be able to do another interview. Um, I mean, I know I'm supposed to be doing one with Envy Medgrower. I don't know if you
Yeah,
know
that's my
him.
boy. Oh yeah, we hang out. Matter of fact, he was had to deal with some shit in California while he was still in Kentucky. And I had his dog for about 3 weeks here, staying with me while he was dealing with all that shit. So no, me and Envy Closet Med Grower, Nate and I we're boys. We know each other for a long time. He used to live out in Nevada too, and that's how him and I kind of really got to know each other and started hanging out.
Okay, so I'm trying to get him to do it. I think Bingus was actually the one that introduced. He sent me his email so I can try to go ahead and get in contact with him to see if he wanted to do one of these. It's practically the same things with roughly with the same questions. Um, it all depends on if he was willing to do one of these and come up and I want to try to have something to be done. So I really do appreciate you coming up. Sometime in the future, yes, I will I do want to do one of those where I could bring up a couple of the guests and then have it open, like have bring all the guests together and then we can. Okay.
I got his
Oh.
personal number, so that's
Yeah.
how close of friends we are. That I just got to call
Where's
him and I'll be
the
like, "Hey, my boy Dr. T is trying to get you on a show."
okay? Just
See what he
let me
says.
know. I'm gonna see if I can set it up. Thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate you coming out. VPD says, "Where's Toad?" Uh, Thanks to everybody out there. Yes, there will be more of these. Uh, Thank you again. Shout
Yeah,
out to
you're
everybody in the
welcome.
chat. Shout out to MedFit. If you haven't been over there, y'all go check them out. Um, Thank you again.
You guys have
All
a
right,
great day.
y'all. Peace.
Peace out.